All right, here we go. So, this is a kid zone over here. We got native plants over there. Whatnot. So, what we're gonna do right today is this broke off this morning. This is a naturally occurring cross between black sage and white sage, both of which are very common. They say that actually black sage is far more common in the coast here, and they say that the white sage may have actually been brought by Native Americans. The white sage, if you see it, is just much more fragrant. It's got a real powerful odor, and it had sacred importance for the Kumeyaay and the Ipai here. Natives throughout, wherever it is, it has ceremonial importance. And so they say they may have brought it because it's not really necessarily part of the assemblage here of plants. But so they actually cross fairly easily. They're very close genetically, the two sages, and black and white, and they cross. I don't think the cross has a name, but this is it. I found one as I was walking up on the path up there, and maybe 3 years ago, I clipped off a branch maybe this big, and took a bunch of cuttings and then put them in soil. And sage will root, artemisia will root, sage will root. A bunch of these will actually root if you put them in soil. So I'm going to show you today how you can take a branch. You guys ever want some of this cross? You can see it's kind of intermediate. It smells a lot more like white sage, and it has longer leaves, and it has longer leaves, and its growth habit is like a cross. Actually, it's kind of weird. So yeah, it's cross. You'll see if I had the other ones in front of me, I could show you the difference. But so what I'll do is I'll show you how to cut it and then put some rooting. I have some water diluted rooting compound. There's a lot of different brands of this. They all do the same things. They just encourage rooting. They're not really necessary. You can really just, and there's, obviously some scientific techniques here where if I were like producing this for a nursery, I would have a lot more controls on it. And but I'll just tell you the basics that anyone can do. I have normal scissors. You can use gardening shears, probably a lot better. The best thing when you're doing this is to get something that has an elbow on it, so where it goes, where the sprig or whatever cuts into the main body, and that will just produce more active rooting. So you want to do that. You want to get all the leaves off. So what I'll do is these rooting compounds, I have a main bottle that I use, but you don't want to get cross contamination by dipping roots in, and I usually don't use very much, so I'll just take a little of this and then put it in there. You can use anything. This is super basic. So I'll just take it, set it in for a couple minutes. Again, I'm sure there's some optimum time, but I'm just showing you. So that's what you would do. You would just dip it in, leave it there. In terms of what you want to do with the plant itself, so what you're fighting is you're trying to keep it alive for long enough that it can put roots in, and the thing that threatens its ability to stay alive that long is evapotranspiration, is the leaves losing moisture. And so what you want to do is you want to leave enough leaf that it can stimulate root growth, that the plant can stay alive, but you don't want enough surface area that it loses a lot of moisture. So you can take these leaves super quick. Again, if I'm doing like large numbers, you can take a lot of these leaves straight up off, and just leave a certain amount, and then I'll take a lot of the lower leaves off, leave some like that, dip it in. Take something like this, you can pull off a lot of these lower leaves. They're not going to help, or trim them off. They're just going to cause too much. It's going to die. You don't want it to die. You want it to stay alive for long enough to put the roots in. And then these ones on top, that's a lot of leaves, honestly, but whatever. I just clip them like this. Again, these are not going to be the leaves that like sustain the plant in the long term. I tend to like also clip off growth buds. You don't want, if there's any flowering buds, you definitely want to clip those off. You don't want it using any extra fuel to do that. Dip them in there, and then just go through. This one right here. These scissors are not ideal, but whatever, you get the point. I'll clip that right there. That's a good little elbow. That'll produce a lot of roots. Then you just take all this lower stuff. This honestly, like you don't need a terminal branch. You can cut it like right here, like that, and then just take a lot of these off. You don't want to damage the clipping. Is probably better just because you don't want to damage it. So again, like I took this pretty severely. Maybe I took it too much. You'll see. And then you put it in, boom, just like that. And again, see, so these, I'm using elbows because that's the best, but you don't need that. Just this. You heavily remove the leaves on this thing like this, and clip these top ones. Clip that too much. Clip these. That if taken care of, that'll grow, even though it's just that. Cut it at maybe an angle. Put that in. I oftentimes don't. You get enough of these elbows that I oftentimes don't. I don't want to pot that many. It's just too time consuming. I'm just kind of like, if any of you want any of these, so like I'll show you. Clip it fast. I'll fast forward through most of this because I'm just doing the same thing over and over again now. You can try with real long lengths like this. See how long this is? And you can take this stuff off. Bam, bam, bam. Clip that. And so what you do, I'll just tell you the story as I'm doing this so we don't have to do it all. Put that in there. Get that good and soaked. Again, this is starting to, I can take this off right here. Use this as an elbow. I don't know if you can see this here. So again, I'm just taking this. That's an elbow right there where it enters into the other one. Clip it back real well. Like that. The more leaf content you have underneath it, the more likely it is to rot. All right, now I got, you can use a lot of different kinds of pots. I've been using these lately because I'm trying to minimize my soil use. I just don't like using lots of soil. This soil I got in here is a mixture of some actual dirt, and then I'll use some peat moss. I don't like to use a lot of peat moss because it's not exactly a sustainable resource. I mean, it is, but it takes so long, and the over exploitation is so extreme. So I don't like to use a lot of soil. This has peat moss, some actual soil, and then it also has some perlite in there. The perlite's real light, kind of allows more room for root development. Anyhow, so you'll put that on the bottom, and then you take this little guy and or gal, and then you'll put it into the soil, and then you just fill in around it. Again, this is too wet because it was out in the rain, so but squeeze it out, get that around there, and you want to get it all the way in. You want to get this thing as well packed as possible. Boom, 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 boom. Push it in. Not so packed that you can't get root development, but again, it's pretty wet. It's a rock. Yeah. Anyhow, so once you have this thing, this creature, you're gonna, ideally, if you have the resources, I have this little thing right here, I'll set it right there. You're gonna want to put it in a, if you really had like a nursery, you would have it in a room that was, you had, you know, misters, and you'd be just misting it around the clock. But given that we don't have that, honestly, I'm short on time, so I'll do these things and then I'll just basically walk away, and I'll put it underneath the I'll put it underneath I have like a planting platform. I'll put it underneath so it doesn't get too much sun, but it'll get sun at the close of day. It'll get sun in the morning. You want enough sun that it will trigger growth, but you don't want so much sun that it causes enough evapotranspiration to actually kill it. So anyhow, I'll do a few more of these, and that's pretty much it. Some percentage of them always die. I mean, they don't always die. Sometimes you get them all if you really take care of them, but I don't take care of them very well. So if you want to take care of them, again, ideally you put it in a place where it gets moisture. If it's not naturally sort of humid and cool, then you would want to put it in semi-shade, and or you can do full shade in the beginning to start, and then switch to semi-shade, and then you would ideally want to spray it with some sort of a misting thing every couple hours. But obviously most people can't do that, but a certain percentage will survive however badly you mistreat them, as long as you keep them in the shade. The main thing is not to kill them with too much sun. So what do? You put it in here for a month or so. Eventually you'll start seeing new growth. You don't want to actually move it out. I don't like to move it out until I start seeing a little bit of new growth. You know, with plants in general, if you see new growth, there's a root on the other side of that growth. So that's a good sign. Give it some time to grow a little new growth, and then start taking it from full shade then to semi-shade or partial shade, and then you're ready to go. I'd say after, maybe, it depends if it takes really well, but after a month or two, you're ready to actually take it, enough roots to sort of be able to loosen it and pull it out of that thing, out of the tube, or the pot, whatever you use, and put it in the soil. And it'll grow. I mean, if you look around, you know, a lot of this stuff we have is all cuttings. I started, every sage you see, now some of them are 6 feet radius. They're all from a single little cutting. I don't buy sage. There's some sort of sages, like if I want a Cleveland sage or something that I don't have, I'll do that. But once you have this stock, you're good to go pretty much forever. Anyhow, and it's a really great, the bees love it. It's such a great fragrance for a, you know, part of, to my mind, when you're doing Southern California native gardening, you're going for, you want a certain palette, but you want habitat, but such a big part of it is the smell of coastal sage scrub, you know, that's coming mostly from Artemisia and from the sages.